And I'd like to welcome to the podium for our update from LawPRO, LeClair. Ray is the Vice President of Public Affairs at LawPRO and has held that position since 2012, but has been there since at least 2008. He's a very frequent speaker at our plenary and other association events throughout the province, and so without further ado, we welcome him today.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you for the opportunity to come and speak to you. Dan was to be here. He expected to be here, and unfortunately has to send his regrets. He cannot make it, but he did prepare a presentation, and I have that now. So I'm going to talk to you about some claim trends. I'm going to talk to you about the 2024 program that we have. New resources. I'm going to talk about excess insurance and what's new with Title Plus, and then if we have time, we may have some questions. So basically, the trend, long-term trend of increasing claims continues. We are seeing more claims every year. However, it is typically based on the fact that we have more lawyers. And so when we look at it on a consistent basis by number of lawyers, it's pretty consistent. So more lawyers, more claims, it's almost a given. What we are seeing, though, is the number of claims are going up by 2.5% per year, basically. But the cost of those claims is going up 3% annually. What that has caused is in 2001, the average cost of claims was $33,000. In 2020, we're up to $36,000. When you think that that includes all claims, even the ones that we didn't spend any money on, those numbers are a little concerning. We still have the number of claims. Why do we have claims? Communication still always number one. Inadequate investigation, interesting enough, is number two now, used to be number three. Time management was number two, has dropped to number three. Combination of the courts closing, pandemic, and so on. I think that the litigation, which has most of the time management claims, has been reduced. But what we're finding is technology is causing lawyers to not ask enough questions. Clients are communicating with us in different manners. You now get a text from the client, and the client asks you, what do you think about this? And of course, you hear LawPRO saying, communicate, communicate. You respond back in a text, yes, that's good. You just gave an opinion in 140 characters. That's not something that should be done. You need the answers, you need the facts to be able to provide that, so it's something to be mindful of. The next area of law that we're seeing is, where do we see the issues? Real estate for 2022 is in first place. It usually fights with litigation for number one. Litigation for the last 4 or 5 years has been number one. Not quite sure it's an honor that they should be looking for, but it's something that we see. What we're concerned, though, is wills and estates is a growing area of claims. Demographics will tell you that, yes, there are probably more wills and estates issues to be dealt with. And, of course, when you have transition of assets between generations, you're going to have a situation, and typically you'll have a beneficiary who's not happy. When the beneficiary is not happy, it can't be that mom and dad didn't want me to have it. It must be the lawyer screwed up. And so we see claims, and we're seeing more of that. And when you pair that up with the fact that we're not asking enough questions, not getting information, those are two difficult, very problematic situations going forward. What we're seeing in number of claims for the first half of 2023, $51 million that we have paid out. We are expecting in 2024 to be at $116 million in payout in claims. We have been traditionally about $100 million, so we're seeing that go up. The $51 million for the first half of 2023, to give you an example, is 31% higher than when it was the year prior. Now, pandemic had something to do with that, but still, I think we're back to regular business levels, increased defense costs, and of course, inflation is playing havoc for us. The other issue we have is expensive claims. We are seeing more claims that are exceeding the 100,000. And so in the number of years, 2006 to 20, 16 to 20, 255 claims exceeded the 100,000. Most claims are under 100,000. We see about 5 to 15 claims a year that will reach the million. So typically, the $1 million coverage you have is sufficient for most claims that are out there, but I'll talk about excess insurance in a matter of minutes. What happens with claims? We get a number of claims. We get over 3,000 claims a year. We have about over 4,000 active claims at this moment. Basically, ultimately, only about 13% of claims actually account for an indemnity payment. That's where there's lawyer's negligence and damages to the client. And when you have that combination, then of course there's a payment. We have, in the other 87% of the cases, we basically, they do not involve negligence, or they may involve negligence, but no damages to the client. We do not make any settlements unless there is both negligence and damages for the clients. We spend about 50% of our costs in defending lawyers, defending them against, because clients are not happy with the fees or not happy with some other element. They may have suffered damages, but they're not the fault of the lawyer. They will blame the lawyer, they will bring a claim, and that's where we defend lawyers. In 37% of the claims that we get, we close them without any payment, typically just some management from our inside counsel. We do not pay on no-fault basis, and we only pay claims fairly. What do you expect on the 2024 insurance program? There's a couple of things that are going on, but understand how we arrive at the premiums and the program itself. We look at claims trends and costs, at the historical and what's been happening. We look at the capital requirement that is set by our regulator. Our regulator is FSRA, and we're managed like any other insurance company. We have to maintain those controls. If not, FSRA would come in and take over the operation. So we need to maintain that side. We look at the economic and investment market trends, and you'll see the importance of that in a few minutes. We look at comments that we receive from lawyers. And so if there's something, and the lawyers will bring it up and say, listen, something has changed, we should have coverage for this. And throughout the years, we have added coverage because of comments that lawyers have brought to us about changes in their practices. We look at the changing environment that lawyers are practicing in. AI is a good example. Where is that going? How is that going to be reflected in the coverage, in the claims? We're looking at it. You'll see in a few minutes the internet issues, the risks that we have, and of course the scope of coverage we're always looking at. So what is it? What is changed for 2024? I'll talk about 4 items. First of all, your premium. Number 2, the renewals. Number 3, talk about the practice part-time practice discount. And number 4, a change regarding social engineering. First important thing is to see that your premiums are not going to change. They're going to remain the same as last year. And as you can see from this graph, one of the strongest testimonies of LawPRO's success as a professionally run insurance company is a stable base premium. Your premiums are lower today than they were 11 years ago, and much lower than they were in 1994 when the program was established. The base of the premium is established, again, depending on claims. That's the major item that basically we deal with and look for. Now, having seen the rate that is there, you have to understand that 1/3 of the membership of our insureds pay less than the base premium, and I'll go through that in a minute. There are significant changes that can be done. When you consider that in 2016 the premium was $36.50, $100 more than it is today. If you look at the 1994 premium of $5,600, If you were to adjust that for inflation today, that is a premium of $9,739.41. So we think that we're delivering good value for you in your insurance coverage, providing you with good coverage, and hopefully you will agree. When I talked about lawyers spending less than the base premium, over 5,000, almost 6,000 lawyers take advantage of the new lawyer premium discount. And basically what it is the first year of lawyering, they get a 50% discount, 40%, 30%, then fourth year, 20%. In the fifth year, then they become full-fledged premiums. The part-time practice discount, about 2,500 lawyers take advantage of that and pay 50% of the premium. Again, lawyers who practice exclusively criminal or immigration law will benefit of a 50% discount on their premium. Again, about a quarter of the membership or the insureds take advantage of LawPRO's risk management credit. As you know, if you take certain courses that have been sanctioned by us as advising you of the risks and limiting the risk, and hopefully you're incorporating that in your practice, you can get $50 or $100 discount. And we have 25% of the insureds that are taking advantage of it. Always surprised that only 25% take that advantage, but I guess that's one thing. The other thing is automatic renewal. So contrary to all of the other years, this year you do not have to do any changes. In July of this year, after more than 2 years of preparation, LawPRO began a large transition of the new claims and policy administration systems. We expect this transition to result in many new efficiencies and conveniences for you and for our staff. And it include a brand new My LawPRO online portal for you. And this change will be noticed immediately because you do not have to do anything for your renewal. It'll be automatic unless, of course, your practice has changed. And then you have to tell us because, of course, automatically you will be billed, you will get the information, it will be updated to you in the portal later in the year, and you do not have to pay year 24 premium until 2024. But everything is on way now to be in place. What is also new this year is following inflation, we are bumping up the exemption or the amount that part-time lawyers can bill. It's now $100,000 up from $90,000 for the previous years and the current year. They still require to spend less than 20 hours on average a week in the weeks that they work, and overall less than 750 hours per year, which includes undocketed work. What is new is social engineering. And basically, this is a change that has been brought to us because of the ongoing issues that we've seen with fraud. Basically, you've probably received an email, somebody prompting you there's something wrong with your credit card, something wrong with your bank account, something wrong with some kind of account that you have, and they want you to click and to go and change your login information. If you're not weary of that, basically you go in there, you'll enter your login credentials, you'll get a notice that's saying, sorry, temporarily not working, and then please come back in 5 minutes. In that 5 minutes, they're taking that login credentials and going into that account, and if it's your bank, then of course they can be doing whatever you could do in your bank account. So we're looking at changing the process. Now, this is not something you cover with insurance, because if we cover it by insurance, then the claims come in the droves and basically your premiums go up. This is an education issue. We have been out there talking to lawyers about doing this. A little momentum, I guess, or a little incentive is we're going to introduce now what we call the social engineering sublimit. And so you will get normal coverage up to $1 million, which is the standard you get now, if you follow certain requirements. If not, then you would drop down to the $250, and we'll look at that. So what exactly is social engineering? Well, it's a loss resulting from an insured or anyone acting on the insured's express or implied authority who is induced by a dishonest act to voluntarily part with title or with possession of any property including clients' information or trust funds. So what do you have to do to maintain that $1 million limit? We're going to ask you to put specific language in your retainer. And I know that typically when I talk about retainers, I'm swearing at lawyers. They don't like retainers. Retainers can be multiple forms. It could be just an email you send, some kind of documentation you have that you put out there. We're going to provide you with sample language so that you understand what we look, but basically it's going to be about how do you get paid? Where do you get paid? What's your account information? How is the client to be paid? What are their account information? Again, we talked about the funds diversion. That's typically where you get instructions to send money. The fraudsters have infiltrated the email system and have sent instructions to the client or to you to basically transfer the money over. And so we're going to be looking at trying to beef that up. We're looking at confirming the contact information. You need good contact information. So if you do get different directions, you should be, and the client also. What we're seeing now is the clients are as vulnerable. A number of lawyers have called us where they called the client and said, okay, now time to transfer money. And the client says, well, I got your email yesterday or 2 days ago on your letterhead telling me to send the money. And I did. And of course, the money's gone. So it's very important that we communicate both ways. The client should understand that they should not be sending money unless they confirm. You should not be sending money to clients or to anybody else without confirming the banking instructions. Very important to do so. And we need independent, of course, confirmation of that direction. Let me talk a bit also. So basically, you'll see resources that will be made available. There's a webzine that's out there. We will have some short videos out there explaining what it is. We will have a checklist of exactly what we're looking for. And we will have sample wording. Again, sample. You can do what you want. The content is the important part. What are you dealing with to make sure that you have the right protections in place for you and for your clients so that we don't get caught by these fraudsters. There'll be an update retainers also on practicepro.ca. And of course, we are offering to go to any law association anytime to speak about this. And we can do a presentation, we can answer questions. So look forward to some emails going out inviting you to invite us to go and see you. New resources that we have available. You will see there's using technology for lawyers. We have now a page on technology. Fraud and cybersecurity is fairly prevalent, and we have a lot of resources out there on it. Wellness is very important. We see claims, a number of claims, and although we don't necessarily know why that claim happened, there's a good suspicion that basically wellness has a lot to do with it, especially when you get a lawyer who comes in with multiple files. There's usually something going on. It's usually something with wellness. And so it's very important as lawyers that we take care of ourselves, but also take care of our colleagues. And it's something more and more now we are speaking out about wellness and about the importance of it. It's also important that we look out for our friends and for our colleagues. When you see somebody that's just not doing what they normally do, not just acting the way they did, it may be time to have a nice little conversation with them to make sure that you're there just to support them. And that may be enough to spur them on to get the help that they need. We talk about litigation changes. We have resources on real estate changes and, of course, wills and estates updates. And so please watch out for that. We do have a number of fraud fact sheets that are out there. We used to have 2. Now we split it up into 6, so they're very defined in the area, so you can go and pick them up and take a look at it very easily. We have all kinds of CPD recordings. A lot of information is out there, and it's all qualifies for the Law Society professionalism hours, and it qualifies for the LawPRO risk management credit, which is $50 or $100 in your pocket. So please take advantage of that. Go see the information. And also remember, LawPRO will go out to your local association. And we will go and speak to you on a topic that you choose that is of importance to your members, or one that we consider to be a risk and that should be top of mind for lawyers. If you're starting a new law firm, sole or member, that we do have a a resource that is out there that you can take. Take a look at our LACE magazine that we have out there. We have a lot of tips on how to start a practice, how to start, if you're a new lawyer and so on. And also featuring an article on new ways technology is being used by the legal profession. As an example, the cover that you see was generated by AI. This is the very first issue that we've used AI to design the cover image. Specifically, we used DALL-E by OpenAI to create this artificial black and white photograph. We provided DALL-E with the following prompt: a black and white photo of a female lawyer holding a briefcase, wearing a darkened space helmet that obscures her face, standing at counsel table. In response, you have basically the cover that is it there. It compared millions of images that in its database and provided us with this, this picture, and we decided to use it just to emphasize that we do know that AI is out there. It's going to change our practice. We need to understand how it works. We understand the risks. We understand the limitations. Lawyers will use it. Lawyers are using it. Not even a future thing. Lawyers are using it. We understand that. But what risks are we taking on? And how do we protect those risks? How do we protect our clients? And probably more importantly, how do we protect ourselves going forward? One of the things that we have is excess insurance. So over and above your $1 million, $2 million in aggregate, we offer up to $9 million extra in $1 million increments. And you can call in, you get a quote free of charge. We will provide you with a quote as to what it is, and then on an annual basis, you can renew and have excess insurance. As you saw, most of the claims are covered within the $1 million, but consider what area of law you're in. If you're in real estate and in a major city, that may not be enough. If you're in wills and estates and have clients with significant assets, that may not be enough. And of course, some litigation or corporate work, tax work, is all subject to a number of those issues. What we find is our excess insurance is basically for small and soles. The big firms can go out to Lloyd's of London and have brokers out there that will approach them and make a product for them. The soles and smalls don't. And we have the bulk of our clients are basically the soles and smalls. We have 3,700 lawyers, over 1,500 law firms that are taking advantage of our excess insurance, which we think are very reasonable rates for lawyers. What's new in Title Plus? Number of things that are exciting, but I'd like to introduce you to Mark Huttram, our new Vice President of Title Plus. Mark has a deep industry knowledge and a wealth of experience in the legal, banking, and real estate and insurance fields. His background is in banking and sales. He will focus Title Plus on building a competitive and more responsive product. With over 25 years of experience building responsive businesses, including senior executive roles at organizations such as Teranet, First American Title, and Davis Henderson. Mark is on board, and with the recent redesign of the online platform, coupled with the new legal counsel fees that are compatible with the rest of the title insurers out there, clearer policy wording, Title Plus is on a new lease, has a new lease on life. When combined with the Title Plus difference, which is the coverage for errors and omissions, we're the only one that have it at no charge and without any specific limitation. We believe the Title Plus product is the best title insurance coverage out there for consumers and for lawyers. Let me take just a couple of minutes and go back and talk about LawPRO itself, just to bring to mind some of the issues or some of the history that we had. Back in the 90s, the Law Society came out of a major insurance deficit, $200 million in arrear, in insufficient funds to cover basically the expenses that were, or the claims that were available. The task force came out in October of 1994, recommending that they create a separate insurance company. It used to be a department of the Law Society. It now became an independent corporation. It was tasked to operate independently of the Law Society, to have its own board of directors and its own management, which we do now. It was tasked to operate in a commercially responsible manner, so the revenues to cover the expenses. It was basically to ensure that we follow the requirements of course, we're regulated by our regulators, so we have to follow those provisions. We're to provide insurance at a cost that reflects the risks. So those who have more risks should pay more. And you say, well, how can you have a base of everybody's pays the same and yet others are paying more? And that's where the levies come in, the litigation levies and the real estate levies. And so basically real estate files generate enough claims to cover real estate, litigation files cover basically litigation claims. Those levies bring in about $30 million a year. $100 per file for litigation, $65 per file for real estate. And that's how we were able to establish. Why do criminal law and immigration law have 50% discount? Because of course their risk is lower, and so there we can actuarially we can prove that basically their costs are covered by the premiums that we bring in. We also were required to settle claims fairly and quickly, but not on a no-fault basis. And so we are able to follow basically the Law Society mandate, which is to protect the public. And so that's what our insurance is. Yes, it does protect lawyers, but basically it protects also the public. And interesting, when I go to the States, one of the big conversations in the States is to whether or not they have insurance. Most states do not have insurance. In fact, only 2 states in the U.S. have a requirement that they have mandatory insurance. Both of those is $300,000. Is the $300,000 for one, $100,000 for the other one, and the $300,000 costs them $5,000 a year. So quite a difference from what we are seeing. Basically, we're there to set the client right if the lawyer was negligent and caused them damage. We provide the E&O insurance to over 80% of the lawyers, of the Law Society members. We insure over 30,000 lawyers, and with the runoff insurance, we cover over 38,000 lawyers who are no longer in the practice of law. And that's the run-free $250,000 that we make available. We run as a nonprofit. We are a for-profit corporation, but unlike other insurance companies, we operate to make an underwriting loss. So we basically plan on having a 10% loss at the end of the year by paying claims. How do we break even? By the investments that we have. So we have reserves. Those reserves are generating income, and basically that brings up the difference. We do not pay any return any dividends to the parent. This is a long-standing 29-year policy that the Law Society has had. That no premiums are going back to the Law Society, and therefore you get to have the better costs. Number of reasons why things you get guaranteed and just about done. Affordable insurance, good consistent terms. We get to see the overall picture. It makes it easier to do the actuarial and to decide on the premiums going forward. All the matters coordinated. These slides are available. I'll be sending them to you, so you will have them very shortly. They will be available. We have a number of practice tips that are available. More articles. Avoid a Claim is a great resource for any fraud or any practice management tips. Also follow us on LinkedIn, and now we're on Instagram if you're there. And with that, questions? Thank you very much for your time.